All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Lovely to be here with everyone. I think we have a couple of hundred people together.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
Or close to
Lovely
it.
to be here with everyone.
I'm going to just make sure we don't have any issues with some sound. There might be just. I hope everybody can hear me. Maybe in the comments, just make sure. Let's just see if everybody's here and you can hear me. If I can get some yeses or thumbs up, or we can hear you or something like that, so that I know everybody is with us. Let's just give that a second. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So really a great pleasure, guys, to be with you all. We're going to have a short and sweet session today. It will be maximum about an hour. By way of introduction, my name is Farzam Ehsani. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Valor, VALR. A lot of people pronounce that in different ways, but the way to pronounce it is Valor, like courage or value or things of that nature. Or the derivative is value, I should say, but it's Valor. And so today I am going to actually bring in already Valor's Chief Operating Officer. His name is Gianluca. He goes by G. G, very welcome.
Thank you, Zon. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise. I'm very, very excited to be with everybody. So I think we'll talk a little bit about today what Valor Vision is, what this is all about. We'll also talk a little bit about Valor's journey, where we've come from, where we're going to. We'll talk a bit about the crypto markets, about regulations, about NFTs. Then we've got an exciting announcement at the end about, we're very excited that giving away over 200,000 Rand worth of crypto with another player, and I'll come to that. So please keep the comments coming. We'll try to make this interactive. We also have a bunch of spot prizes, and that will be basically paid to your Valor Pay ID. So make sure you have your Valor Pay ID ready and ready to post. We're going to get some prizes out to all of you, or hopefully some of you, I should say, over the next hour. So maybe to start off with Valor Vision, G, why don't you've been working very closely with the marketing team. Actually, I just want everybody just say a quick hello to the marketing team as well. So
yeah, let's do that.
I'm going to just give a quick a hi to everybody. There's Sasha, everybody. She's part of the marketing
guys.
team. We've also got Dev, part of the marketing team. If we can,
he's on mute. Dev, get yourself off mute, man.
Hey guys, great to be here.
Cool. So we'll bring you guys back on a little bit later, and we've also got in the back room a couple of other people as well. But basically, G, you've been working a lot with the marketing team. Give us a little intro of kind of what Valor Vision is all about, what we're hoping to achieve with this, really with an interaction, obviously, with our community. But go for it. In your own words, what is Valor Vision?
Sure, putting on the spot, obviously. So really the idea behind Valor Vision is to kind of give everyone who interacts with us, the community that use Valor, all of our customers and everyone that we interact with, an opportunity to hear from us about how we view the world of crypto, the world more broadly than crypto, and give you guys a feeling for kind of what we're thinking about in terms of building our product sets and where we want to take Valor holistically going forward. I think we're quite quiet by and large as a company, and we want to change that a little bit by bringing forward a few voices, not just Zon or myself, to chat about us, chat about the crypto space, have a fun time, and hopefully do some learning along the way, both with us discussing how we view the world, but also hearing from everybody in the chat and our customers too. So very, very excited to start this off. I see some people have said that they've missed some sick waves down in the Cape for this. Other people saying they've missed work for this. So excited to have everybody listening in.
Awesome. Thanks, G. Thank you so much. So a couple of things. So previously, we actually used to have meetups pre-COVID. COVID obviously has put a little bit of a spanner in the works there. we really hope that soon we'll be able to meet a lot of you guys in person. It's much more rich that way. You guys can interact much better with us, and we can get to know you guys better as well. But we'll deal with what we are dealing with right now, and I hope you're all staying healthy and well. So maybe just to start with a few words about Valor, and I think probably everybody watching is probably familiar with Valor, but it might be worth just spending a few minutes just about where we've come from and a little bit more pertinently about where we're going. So Valor started in 2018. It was really born out of the need to bring an exchange to South Africa that really served South Africans and ultimately the world, and we'll talk about that in a moment, in a cost-effective manner with a bunch of different coins, giving the choice to all of the customers to make the decisions about what should succeed and what shouldn't. We feel very strongly that we don't know. We're still in the very, very early stages of crypto. So for those of you guys that are just getting into crypto, please understand we're still very, very early from many, many different perspectives. And the feeling was that we as exchange providers, we shouldn't be deciding which coins should do well and which coins shouldn't, but the market should. And so what Valor does is we try to, obviously we have to have some type of vetting to make sure there's sufficient liquidity, to make sure that there's no like scam coin that we know of that we're listing. But ultimately, once coins are listed, we want the market to decide what has value and what doesn't. We believe in that's really not our choice to make. Having said that, and I will say it right from the start, we've had a lot of requests for Solana recently, which is like the 7 crypto. We're working on getting that to you guys as soon as possible. There are a couple of challenges with our liquidity providers for that, but we're going to try to bring that to you guys as soon as possible. We have heard you, and we are going to do what we can to bring that to you as soon as we can. And that goes for a bunch of other tokens as well, which we'll get to. So Valor started trading about 2 years ago. June 11th, 2019 is when we started trading. We started with Bitcoin ZAR, moved on to ETH ZAR, XRP ZAR, and we also have a whole bunch of other cryptos, as you know, that you can buy via simple buy, about 60 odd cryptos. And we've got a few very exciting products in the pipeline. I'm not going to talk about them today. We want those to be a surprise to all of you once we actually do launch them. But where we've come from, it's been we've been very pleased with all the support that we've received from all of you, and really want to share my thanks and gratitude to everybody here and also that's not here that's contributed to our growth. I think it's important to note that as a young company, you never feel like you're there yet. And you're always kind of in struggle mode and trying to kind of take it to the next level. And I think that's certainly where Valor is now, where we're just trying to see what opens ahead of us and how to kind of grow into those opportunities, keep serving everybody and making sure we've got a fantastic product that serves humanity, South Africans, all of you. And our next phase really is we are a predominantly South African platform right now, but we want to bring new products to the platform, and we also want to start taking Valor to the non-South African territories of the world, i.e. the rest of the world. So right now, as you probably know, anybody can join Valor from wherever you are, but the on-ramps onto Valor right now are just from the fiat currency world, the traditional financial world, is just via ZAR. We've also, again, got some very exciting announcements about that in the not too far future, which I'm very excited about expanding that. But let me pause there. I want to also take a look at the comments. G, by the way, this guy on the screen, G, is actually called Gianluca. We call him G. You'll hear him probably refer to me as Zom. It's my nickname. You're all welcome to call me Zom as well. But G, anything else to add on kind of Valor and where we're going? And I know we're just short of time, so it just needs to be brief, but go for it.
Yeah, I think I might repeat a lot of the stuff that you've said. But kind of Valor was, as you said right at the beginning, built on the principles of value. Like, how can we serve people? How can we build financial products specifically that kind of serve humanity? And like, thanks to all of you guys, we kind of hit the nail on the head initially as we launched the exchange. We knew that there was a lack of access to many assets. in the South African market. We thought of that as something that we could help solve, and brought 60 plus currencies to South Africa through our simple trade function, and with deep liquidity, working with partners to be able to bring that to the South African market. And then we worked on, maybe secondly to that, which was really, really helpful, was working on making flow of funds really, really seamless as is possible when you touch the traditional banking system in South Africa. So we worked on, making fiat on-ramps fast, making fiat off-ramps and withdrawals super quick. And we think that kind of proved to us that there was lots of space to add plenty of value to the crypto space in this country specifically. So to Zom's point, the world's moved on in 2 years. There's been a lot of development in the crypto space. There's a lot of really, really interesting products and services that don't exist in places like South Africa and much of the developing world as well. And we're really, really excited to start working on some of these new product sets that you're seeing in other parts of the world for the South African market and for other places around the world. So I'm probably repeating exactly what you said, but that's how I think of Valor moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks, G.
Yeah.
Guys, let's see a Hey guys, can you hear me? Am I back?
Has Zom gone or have I gone?
I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that was,
Okay.
I
We're
don't know
back,
if that
I
was
think.
the platform or. All right. Okay. Well, we're back. Great. So if
Okay,
I could
cool.
see, I don't know if you heard me, but I would love to give out a spot prize. Can we see some ValorPay IDs, please? If you can just post them in the comments. Now, the challenge is that not for some reason with the platform we're using, not all the comments are coming through from YouTube and other places. But so it's just kind of going to be at the discretion of whatever we see here. So, Batty, I know you're backstage. If you can put up a, if you see a ValorPay ID, which many of them are coming through now, just put it up on the screen. And then let's actually just make a payment right now and show how quick ValorPay ID is. So let's see. Batty, I hope you're there listening, if you can hear us.
I'm actually going to pick someone. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Cool.
There we go. Ruan. I don't know if Batty is there in the back end. So Batty is our chief product officer, who's also in the back room over here. So
he's also pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Yeah, he's pulling the strings. So he'll make some ValorPay ID payments right now, some Valor payments right now. All right, guys, let's get into a little bit of a few of the other topics. G, we're going to talk about crypto markets. I want you to talk about crypto markets a little bit. I'm going to talk after that about regulations and also scams. Scams has been something that the South African market specifically has been beset by for some time. But and then we'll talk about NFTs and a whole bunch of other stuff. So very quickly, high level, G, tell us a little bit about what you see going on in the crypto markets right now and the trends.
Sheesh, where do we begin? Maybe the most topical place to start is partly in the kind of advent of additional layer ones and how these are starting to gain a lot of traction, at least price wise, in the global market. You're seeing that as layer I think many people on the chat.
What does layer one mean? Let's break it down. What's a layer one?
So Bitcoin's a layer one. It's a blockchain in its own right. Ethereum has the ERC20 network, which is its layer one. BNB, you could argue, is a layer one, although it's a copy of the Ethereum blockchain. And then there's interesting alternatives that we're seeing, such as Cardano, Solana, and Phantom, which are and maybe Avalanche as well, are interesting.
There are a few
alternative
other contenders
blockchains.
as well. Yeah, there are a few other
Plenty.
contenders
There's,
as well. Yeah,
that's just off the top of my head. And at least price-wise, we're seeing massive price action in a number of these networks. I'm sure I've seen in the chat already that you guys will know that Solana has kind of exploded in the last month. Avalanche prior to that was also rising significantly in price, and Cardano has also been quite an interesting asset to keep an eye on. It's probably one of the more interesting elements of seeing a lot more activity on alternative blockchains is the fact that the Ethereum network has done like an amazing job in building DeFi, and we're seeing NFTs being built on the ETH blockchain now, and many just like really interesting financial use cases. Together with that success of building so many like interesting applications on Ethereum has come load, right? So the network is like super congested. We're seeing the consequence of that being Ethereum gas fees going through the roof. And for you to just transact on chain on the ETH network is becoming like prohibitively expensive. So like a very limited set of people who have a lot of money are able to participate in many of these ecosystems that are being built on ETH. So one answer is, hey guys, why don't we look at alternatives, right? Are there other blockchains that can be used for similar products for building DeFi and NFTs and other things with much lower costs to transact, right? And that's kind of part of the story of why investors around like the crypto space have started to take interest in these alternatives. We know that like something like Solana, for example, is being focused on heavily for interesting DeFi applications. It's touted as a blockchain that can have huge transaction throughput at very low cost. You can see that if you transact on Solana, if you're sending USDC from one wallet to another, it's something like 5-10 seconds before you've got like the funds in another wallet, and it's for nothing. Like the fees are basically 0 cents. And attached to that is not just being able to transfer money from place to place, but also build interesting applications like a Uniswap equivalent, a automated market maker on the Solana blockchain, and even central limit order books on something like Serum, which I mean that's what Valor does, right? We spend a lot of effort on scaling our technology to actually make sure that the exchange works well. And you guys can see our order books and be able to transact with like very accurate, relevant information based on orders that people are placing. And we're starting to see the capacity to actually build something like that on chain, which is just amazing, right? Like completely separate from any jurisdiction, from even the company. You can build a protocol or technology that basically has a central limit order book attached to it. And that's just something that like couldn't exist like a very short while ago. I don't even know if it can exist on something like Ethereum, given that transaction throughput is low and fees are really high. If you want to build a central limit order book, it's like massive transaction throughput that you're speaking about that you need to be able to handle. So that's quite interesting. Something like ADA, Cardano, they are building smart contracts into their protocol, something that's been a long time coming, a long time promised as well.
Some hiccups recently, though, right?
Looks like it. So it looks like using a UTXO-based blockchain is not something that works super well with smart contracts. And I don't know. The developers say that they're working on fixes and investigating the issues with being able to transact with smart contracts on Cardano. Remains to be seen, TBD, whether that works. Number 3 assets in market cap right now, I think.
Absolutely.
Still.
Thanks, G.
And yeah.
By the way, it's important for everybody to know we're not providing financial advice. We're not saying buy these tokens. We cannot do that. We do not do that. We do not know. So please do not take any advice from us. This is just a chat, a conversation for us to share ideas, and certainly not financial advice. I think we'll come back to some of these other trends. I want to go into this comment. Valor, please don't AfriCrypt us.
If you had to go with a fiery one, hey?
We have to. We go straight to the action.
Straight to the meat, yeah.
So I think let's talk a little bit about this and regulation. So seamless and transfer is huge. Okay. So thanks, guys. So basically, again, just to come to this guy. So let's talk a little bit about, I'm not bringing up Africa specifically, actually, I'll just take that off the screen. But the fact is that there have been a whole bunch of scams recently particularly in the South African crypto space, unfortunately, which is a great source of disappointment to me and to many of us that we've had quite a few of these big things in South Africa. Now, just talking about AfriCrypt, let me just say 2 words about that. I don't know exactly what the situation was, but I feel close to 99.999% sure the values that people are reporting in the media, the 54 billion rand that was stolen, the 51 billion rand, is nowhere near the truth. All right, it is nowhere near the truth. Right. To put it into context, since we started Valor, right, we've been live, as I said, for just over 2 years, and I don't know what the latest number is, but we've traded on Valor with all of our customers about 60 to 70 billion rand. All right.
Yeah.
So to assume that a couple of young people could swindle people out of 51 to 54 billion is incorrect. And I think the reason that came up is because I think whoever was trying to investigate this probably looked at the blockchain, looked at where one of their clients who had got scammed was sending money to, probably followed that on the blockchain to a cold wallet of a large exchange around the world. And so, wow, there's 51 billion worth of Bitcoin here. This must be all the money that's been stolen from by these guys. So again, this is not financial advice. We're not investigators, etc. But I think it is really important. Like, I try to do a lot of research about where that number is coming from, and it is on very, very tenuous footing. So that's just one thing. Just talk about quantum.
Yeah.
But that is a little bit besides the point, because scams have happened. And I think it's really critical for everybody to do their research. Research me, research our Valor, research our investors. You know, you got on the about page of Valor, you get a lot of information about who people are. Before they invested in us, they spent a lot of time doing due diligence on us and things of that nature. And this is not just about Valor, by the way. This is about anybody that you guys interact with. All right. So make sure, and it's not even about crypto, because scams are being made and done in all sorts of arenas. So just make sure you guys are doing your due diligence. And if anybody is promising you returns that seem absolutely insane and unbelievable and that are going to absolutely just change your life overnight, please take that with a lot of salt. Life doesn't work like that generally. So any plans for Valor Pay for small businesses or retailers, kind of like Yoko? Yes, definitely. And that's our V2. We're already integrating with a bunch of merchants, or with some merchants that have reached out to us. We're going to be making Valor Pay available via the API. And we've got some updates that are coming for that. So that's V2, which is kind of in the process of happening.
Yeah, something we've learned about this very quickly is that, like, having API functionality for all of our products is like super important. Yeah. So we're working on that and really want to bring that together with a bunch of other features to the API.
So let's go back to regulation. A lot of people previous to this were asking kind of about the SARB, and recently, a couple of months back, there was an FAQ, a frequently asked question on the IFWG website, which is the Intergovernmental FinTech Working Group, as well as the SARB website and National Treasury website, that talked about one of the comments that they made was that basically sending crypto offshore from a local exchange to an international exchange, they named that a criminal offense. Now, Valor was quite quick to make a public statement to say that we disagreed with that interpretation. And again, this is not advice. We are living in a country that we have to abide by the law and by the rule of law. And the rule of law is exchange control at the moment. That's the overarching kind of piece of legislation that poses some challenges for the crypto space. So it's very important for everybody to understand that we are all subject to those regulations, and we must comply by those regulations. However, and I've made this view that I'm about to share also open and public with the regulators themselves, I think that interpretation, in my view, is incorrect. Okay, and the reason I say that is a few years ago, we tried to raise some money for Valor, our seed round. And we were able to raise $1.5 million at that time for our seed round. And our investors wanted to invest into Valor using Bitcoin. We loved the idea. We wanted to accept the Bitcoin. We went to the authorized dealer, which is the bank, as well as the authorities and the regulators, the SARB. And we said, can we receive this Bitcoin given, okay, there's another Mitch K. You just got a Valor Pay award. I don't know who put that up on the screen, but Mitch, happy birthday for now or whenever it's to come.
I'm going to keep interrupting you as things get more regulatory with more of these.
Okay, all right. So just to come back to where I was going with our raising of that Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin, we were told by the regulators that we cannot accept Bitcoin as payment into South Africa if it is to be recognized as an inward flow of capital, because it wasn't viewed as capital or currency. So to me, I felt that there's an inconsistency if we do not accept that Bitcoin or crypto coming into the country, if it's not capital coming into the country or currency coming into the country, how is it all of a sudden capital going out of the country? That doesn't make any sense to me. It still doesn't make any sense to me. And I've expressed my views, as I said, to the regulators. The second point is in what's called the Currency and Exchanges Manual for Authorized Dealers. This is guidance that is put out by the SARB that's open to the public. You can read it yourselves. And you'll see that there's something called the single discretionary allowance. And the single discretionary allowance basically says that every individual in South Africa, resident citizen above the age of 18, has the ability to send 1 million rand worth of value offshore without asking any permission, so long as it's legal. And then there's something in the regulations that says, but it needs to be reported by the authorized dealer, i.e. the bank, using the appropriate code effectively for the Financial Surveillance Department reporting system. So here again, there's a little bit of a challenge because crypto is legal. And just because banks are not playing in this space, and because there isn't any what's called the balance of payments or a BOP code, I think there's some administrative difficulties with that line of reasoning, because nobody is doing anything wrong per that clause by sending an amount of crypto that's less or within their single discretionary allowance, whether it's offshore or not. Now, I don't want to say too much more about this. We're actually doing a lot of stuff on the side scenes and engaging with the regulators on this and to provide clarity. It is important that this stance is not what the regulators envision going forward. They put forward a June 11th paper. It's called the Position Paper on Crypto Assets that was issued by 7 regulators in South Africa. So all the major guys that are involved, the SARB, SARS, National Treasury itself, the FSCA, the FIC, you name it. And basically in that paper, which is again available for everybody to read, they envisage a world where people will be using crypto, and those crypto, if they send it offshore, it will be part of those allowances that I've just talked about. So we're in a little bit of a murky territory right now before we actually get the official legislation, but after we've heard what the position paper is from the regulators, and we're in this kind of twilight zone that needs a little bit more clarity, I feel. But for all intents and purposes, that's what the regulators have stated. So please note that, and that's important for you to understand that that's what the SARB and the regulators have stated. But it is a free country, and I feel comfortable that I can share my views, not to criticize anybody, but to actually hope to promote the well-being of all South Africans, including our regulators, right? So let me just pause there. See if there's any question. Only one question at a time. Regulators also trying to figure out the new. Yeah, I think we need to also be patient with the regulators, right? Chris Berner, Betty, are you rocking this joint? Are you sending some Valor Pays? Betty, I see your camera is off. Can you put your camera on for a second, and I'll see if I can bring you up. This is the man, everybody. This is Betty Sudhakaran. He's a co-founder and the chief product officer of Valor. So the actual app and the website and the designs. Batty obviously has a team around him, a great team around him that helps him, designers and so forth. But Batty is putting all of this together. So Batty, thank you for everything that you're doing. I wanted everybody to see you. Any words, Batty? Anything you want to say?
Well, today I'm Santa Claus. So whoever's Valor Pay ID gets displayed gets 100 rand. So just
Everybody, Betty? I don't think it's everybody.
no,
You mean on the
whoever's
screen?
VALR ID gets selected and shown on the screen.
Okay,
they will
just
get it within the hour. I mean, actually within a minute. So keep the comments coming. It's really nice to see the engagement in the comments, and also find some people are trying hard to find the Valor Pay ID. So if you don't know about the Valor Pay product, just go to valor.com/pay. Get acquainted with what Valor Pay is trying to do, and there's lots to come with when it comes to Valor Pay. So
you need to be a Valor customer, and basically just go to the Valor Pay at the bottom of your app, bottom right. Just click on that and say receive ZAR, and then you'll see what your Valor Pay ID is right there. You can copy it and paste it right into the chat. All right, Betty. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure many people are still aware of the reward program we've got for helping others sign up with Valor Pay.
Tell us about it, G.
Yeah. So you do need to be a Valor customer to make or actually receive payments via Valor Pay. But we've actually set aside a total of R1 million to be paid out to people who help their friends and family who don't have Valor accounts to sign up with us. So you can send a Valor Pay payment to a cell phone number or an email address. You can send that to anyone, right? So if you're, for example, if your dad doesn't have a Valor account, send them $10 using Valor Pay to their cell phone number. They'll get a notification to sign up for a Valor account. And when they do successfully sign up, you'll get 20 Rand for sending them some money and helping them sign up successfully. Another thing that I think we don't market enough, that a lot of that R1 million is still sitting there, ready to be claimed. So go forth and bring further customers to Valor.
We're actually, you did mention it. So right now, when you pay someone with Valor Pay that's not on Valor and they sign up, you get 20 Rand if they sign up to receive your money. We're actually in the process of upping that amount quite significantly. So keep an eye out for that. We're excited to do that. As I said, we have a pool of about R1 million that's sitting there right now for customers to earn by helping us spread the love with their friends, family, and community. Farzam.
Love Wales.
There we go. So there's a question here also, sorry, G, just quickly about debit cards and things like that. We're working on things like this. I think it's really important for everybody to know that a lot of the challenges that we have are because of the banking system or the regulatory environment, where there's a lot of conservativeness, which is good in many ways. But being too conservative, sometimes you lose out on innovation and things of that nature. So we are working very closely with banks to bring you more innovative products. I see a comment about someone saying that Valor Pay might be the solution to their small business. That is our hope. Again, Valor Pay transaction fees are 0. So you can receive ZAR, you can pay ZAR. Nobody gets charged in the process, right? And it's something that we're excited about. It helps us grow our network. It's obviously for between Valor customers, but you can send it to any cell phone number or email address, and then they will get a notification to sign up with Valor to receive those funds on Valor. So it's very exciting. If anybody has any questions, by the way, if someone can put a banner up here, guys, just support.valor.com. That's our support desk. You can go and read up on a bunch of frequently asked questions. You can submit a request to our support team there. So it's support.valor.com. And let's see if we can put up a banner over here for people to actually see that. G, you were saying something. I think I interrupted you.
Oh gosh, no, I can't remember.
No. Okay.
Yeah, let's continue.
Yeah, maybe. So my last words on regulations is that we're still early, but I think regulators around the world, we have to be patient with them, because it's a very difficult thing to get your head around what crypto is. It's totally different to what we've ever understood, what we know. And a lot of regulators are slowly coming to the terms of the fact that you can't just slap on regulations that we've had for different technologies and a different financial system onto crypto. It's pretty much impossible, right? Now, you also can't regulate Bitcoin itself. Like, that's regulated by math, by cryptography. but you can regulate entities like Valor. And I think this is where some people say get rid of regulation, and I would say actually some forms of regulation are actually beneficial, and they are beneficial to customers and to the public. And we do not want companies that are here or individuals that are here to swindle the public, to be able to do that without sanction, right? So I think it's important that Valor and entities like Valor get regulated, so that regulators can come and do their own investigations and make sure that we're doing what we should be doing. We're not doing any dodgy stuff in the back end or anything of that nature, but we're actually giving the customers what they're saying. We're doing it in a responsible way. We're doing it in a way that will safeguard their interests and safeguard their funds, etc. But
Yeah.
There we go. So not somebody else. Kote. So
and we're seeing this sort of like move by regulators to get more involved in the space, like all over the world. So I think just last week actually, the SEC are investigating Uniswap Labs.
Yeah.
The team behind building Uniswap. It's not that they're like fining them or putting any kind of restraints on Uniswap right now, but they're kind of doing an investigation to understand the team behind it, how they've built Uniswap, how it works to some degree. And I think we're going to continue to see that trend, right? These like regulators are going to continue to try to understand as much as they can about the space. And hopefully they put reasonable regulations in place. As you said, we're pro-regulations where they're reasonable. So we work with regulators to try and help them understand the space as best as we can.
Absolutely. Cool. Let's move on. It's running out of time, actually. I would like to get into NFTs, and I actually want to bring Dev in here. So, Dev, welcome to the show again. You're not on mute, I see. That's great. So, Dev, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in the NFT space? And by the way, everybody, for those of you that haven't checked out our blog is something that we've just started recently doing in the last few weeks. Really beautiful writing, and you're looking at the face behind that blog right now, Dev himself. He's a very talented guy, and he's actually infusing that talent into Valor and into your eyes via his words. So we really appreciate that. So Dev, let's go back to the NFT question and talk to us about this. What are NFTs and why are they so special? Are they special? Is it a bubble? Is it hype? What is it? What's going on?
Where to start? Thanks, Tom. So yeah, I mean, just to take it back to basics, in case for anyone who's not familiar, an NFT stands for a non-fungible token. And what fungibility essentially means is whether something can be copied or not. So for example, if I have 10 Rand and I give you 10 Rand, you give me back another 10 Rand, that's the same, that's worth the same, it has the same value. And the same is true of Bitcoin or most cryptocurrencies. The difference with an NFT is that it's uniquely codified into the blockchain, so there can only be that single identifier, which gives it uniqueness and then gives it scarcity. So going back to what we're currently looking at, I think what we're seeing now is quite similar to the ICO craze of 2017, where everything was brand new. You had a lot of people coming into the space and trying to feel their way around. And on one hand, I definitely feel we're in the midst of a bubble, in the sense that things are going for incredibly inflated prices, and not even, I mean, things that don't make much sense, like Ether rocks, for instance. But yeah, so from that aspect, I think you can safely say that euphoria is running very high. A lot of people who got into NFTs in the last year, a few months, have made tremendous amounts of money, and they're again pushing that narrative. But I think the thing that I love about NFTs personally is it's forcing us to confront our understanding of value, which Bitcoin did initially, and I think this is another form of that, because we have new wealth generated in a new way in this new system. And with NFTs, we're trying to, people are trying to negotiate now scarcity and value, because you look at like an ether rock and you're like, wow, that's $3 million, that's ludicrous, that's just a clip art JPEG. But then, for instance, you take any kind of luxury item out there in the real world right now, and a lot of it is pure branding. And I mean, we can take Supreme as an example. Those guys were pure branding. I think they put their logo on a shovel and it sold for a few $1,000s. I think another important thing to understand is the things that give ether rocks and crypto punks, the ones you hear about most, a lot of their value is their place historically in crypto, in the sense that those were some of the initial, the first NFTs, along with CryptoKitties, 2017, 2018. So for a lot of crypto native people, this is an important part of the culture. It's historical canon. It's deeply ingrained, and I'm personally very excited to see where the space is going beyond just generative art. I think at the moment it's kind of paused there a bit, because there's so much money to be made on that front right now. But we are seeing a lot of innovations in terms of like GameFi with Axie Infinity, Avogotchi, those kinds of projects where you can play to earn. And I think that's a very interesting concept. And I mean, my dream with NFTs is that we can use it to actually empower creators, as I think is a lot of the intention here. And I think a lot of the current wave has to run its course, get out of the space's veins, in a sense, and then we can get to people actually producing good art, and that art being appreciated for the art, and especially local artists building their platforms and presences that way without being stifled at all. Yeah, so I'm very excited.
And also, just maybe something to add, and thanks for providing the explanation of non-fungible versus fungible tokens, right? And fungible being things, as Dev said, that are interexchangeable, like money should be. Money can't be money without being fungible. And I think there's a very interesting kind of crisscrossing of these NFTs, non-fungible tokens, with the fungible tokens, which are the cryptocurrencies themselves, where then you can start empowering creators to actually create and also be a beneficiary of sales or future sales into perpetuity, for example, based on what they've created for the world, right? And I think, I forgot what the guy's name is now. It might come to me in a moment. But just to get a little philosophical for a moment, there was someone was saying that if you look at the world and you look at the marginal cost of things in the world, it's coming down drastically because of technology, right? It doesn't cost us anything really to speak to one another on communicate to each other on this platform. And this individual is also talking about the marginal costs in the physical world is also coming down a lot, right? As we get cheaper sources of energy, as we get new and innovative ways of producing things, 3D printing, for example, and all that kind of stuff is reducing costs of production, right? And he was talking about the fact that what happens when, capitalism works on the fact that you try to bring your costs down as much as possible and then sell it for much as possible. We don't do that at Valor. We try to bring you the best value as possible. But generally, people in capitalism try to maximize this, right? But nobody really asked the question, well, what happens when that marginal cost goes to zero? How can you start charging for a marginal cost of zero, right? And then we're starting to be in a world where the resources that we've been fighting over for millennia and millennia, there's abundance in the world. And then how do we create a society around that? And this one individual, again, his name is escaping me at the moment, was talking about how humans will become much more creative, creating arts, creating music, creating beautiful things that uplift the soul, right? And I can't help but start imagining that maybe NFTs and crypto has a part to play in that vision of the world in which there is a much more beautiful world than the one that we have today. We've got a long way to get there, don't get me wrong, and we're all working hard to get there. But I think what we are at is the cusp of a completely new paradigm. So it's very, very exciting times. G, do you want to add anything else? And then I want to get to our announcement as well about the our giveaway.
It's super interesting. You and I specifically, I remember us having a conversation a couple of months ago about whether NFTs are just the ultimate flex. Like, is the point just that I can spend like 50 ETH on a pudgy penguin, put it on my Apple Watch, and then like, hey, it's worth more than a Rolex, you know? So like, look at me. And like many people will make that argument, right? That hey, it's just a case of like, this is how I just show you that I have wealth. But to Dev's point, there's just like super interesting like primitives that are being built here. There's like just interesting concepts being tested. So I'd love to just chat briefly about an example that's really, really topical right now, which is called Loot, right? Which is a very new project where a developer has created a project where people can go and mint a list of items for a game that is yet to be made. This game has not been built yet. It does not exist. All that has been created is these like black screens with lists of items that people can mint for like, you know, for a certain amount of crypto and then hold on to. And there's a secondary market for these. They're selling for a significant amount of money, like other NFTs. But the interesting element here is that like all that this person has built is like the very initial building block. Just like here's a list of items that can be used in the game. And what he's done is it's open sourced, right? So like any developer, any person can go and say, hey, I'd like to build artwork around these items. I'd like to fractionalize these and say, I can take one item out of the list of 10 and sell that individually. And that can be like combined with others to make new lists of items for this game. And so like it sounds stupid on the face of it, like the initial idea, right? It's just a list of items and you could spend a hell of a lot of money on this. But what it represents is the ability to be creative. It's completely open source. It's totally open and permissionless. So people can go and like build whatever they want on top of this basic building block. And that is like super, super interesting and early and like nothing that's like a usable project in the traditional sense, something that you would think of as like, hey, I'll just go and buy that for my day-to-day life. But something that opens up an entirely new space to be creative, as you say. Absolutely. So it's like super exciting.
Thank you so much. Dev, we're going to say thanks and see you later. Thanks for joining us for this section.
Peace, Dev.
Batty, are you back there? Your camera's off again. All right. Batty, how much are you sending to everybody on Valor Pay? I think you're on mute.
I'm sending 100 Rand per person.
Per person, 100 Rand per person. Okay, awesome. So we've still got a few of those out there. So put your Valor Pay ID up there. And now I think let's talk a little bit about the big announcement that we were talking about. So we're very excited to be. We partnered up with Celo, CELO, which is a crypto, or the Celo Foundation, I should say, which is a crypto that's available on Valor. And courtesy of the Celo Foundation, we're going to be giving away over 200,000 Rand in Celo. I don't know what the exact value is right now. Batty, do you know what that is right now? Or maybe once you know it, you can let us know.
Yeah, I think the prices have been fluctuating. At one point, it is 2,500 Celo. It was at one point more than 200,000 Rand, and today it might be a little bit lower than that.
Oh yeah, the markets have gone down today, I think, right? So it's 2,500 Celo that's a giveaway. There are going to be prizes for over 500 people, so 505 people. I think the top 5 prizes get, at least when we did the calculation yesterday, about the top person gets about 10,000 Rand worth of Celo. Again, it might have come down now, but it might be up tomorrow. Who knows? And then everybody, at least of yesterday, was going to get Celo. I think is it 4.5 Celo? Is that correct, guys? I think so. Everybody will get 4.5 Celo of the people that actually get selected. As I said, about 500 people will get selected. the way we're doing it is we're going to send out, and really it's an educational campaign. Cello is a DeFi platform that is working on really looking at mobile being first. So they take mobile numbers and cryptographically hash that and associate that and create a public key for you. And so what we're going to be doing is there'll be a little bit of a quiz for people to take so that they can learn about Cello, answer some questions about Cello, and then you'll be requested to insert your email address, the email address that you've signed up to at Valor. And then there will be a selection of 500 people, 505 people actually. There'll be 5 lucky winners. One of the winners gets up to, as I said, about 10,000 Rand worth of Cello, but everybody else gets 4.5 Cello, which was, call it 300 Rand or whatever it may be right now. So we're very excited about that. What's that, Benny?
Just a clarification. So,
yeah.
So this Learn and Earn campaign, you learn about Cello. There's a blog post that's actually live. If you go to blog.valor.com, and then at the end of the blog post, there's a quiz link that you go into. And that quiz link, you don't put in your email address. We don't want your email address. Just put in your Valor referral code so that we know who you are. And then if you get selected as a winner, then you will get part of your share of the pot.
Blog.valor.com, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So thanks very much. So there is going to be a mailer that's going out, and we're also going to advertise this on social media. And also, I think the timeline that you have to answer these questions, is it by the 12th of September, guys? When is it exactly? 12th of September. I'm getting some nods I'm from backstage. So 12th of September is going to be the deadline. So we're very excited to kind of to share that. As I said, the donation, it's really a donation, and it's funds courtesy of the Cello Foundation. 100% of those funds are going directly to Valor customers, which we're excited to pass through to everyone. So let's just pause there, guys. Baddy, thanks so much. We're going to put you backstage. I will maybe bring you back in a moment. I'm going to take off that blog. I'd like to just spend a bit of time just talking to some of the comments. And G, also, if you have some of the comments, we can just talk to them. Guys, this has been an overwhelming attendance. Thank you so much. And thanks for all the engagement. We unfortunately, obviously, can't go through all the comments. We'll try to address some of these. And I'm going to actually put up a, support.valor.com. And this is our support site. Some of you may know it or not. But you can get help from support. There's a bunch of, as I said earlier, frequently asked questions where you can learn about different topics. Like, for example, I just saw a comment about someone who says they just signed up, everything was so quick, and they've sent the money, but the money hasn't arrived yet in their account. And that's unfortunately because we're subject to the banking system in South Africa. Banking system in South Africa takes about sometimes 1 to 2 business days for your money to arrive. But as soon as your money arrives, it's automatically allocated to your account. And in many ways, if you do like a real-time clearing payment or a pay and clear or an immediate payment, depending what bank you're with, that money generally shows up before you can switch between from your banking app back into your Valor app. Your money should be showing in your Valor app. That's how quick it can be. Now, it is important also just to say that there might be certain times that there might be some delays associated with it, where you might be asked for a proof of payment. There's a whole bunch of stuff from a regulatory perspective that we need to just make sure that the platform isn't being used for illicit purposes. But that affects very, very, very few people. Again, but funds should be available as soon as you see them. And then someone was asking about limits. The only limits on Valor to withdraw is, I believe it's 0.2 Bitcoin if you do not have your 2FA, which is your two-factor authentication. And if you don't know what 2FA is, please go to our support site and search for it, and then enable it, please, on your Valor account, because it's critical for your security, right? But if so, and the way we try to encourage you is that if you don't have 2FA, then you've got a withdrawal limit of 0.2 Bitcoin or the equivalent per 24-hour period. If you do have 2FA, then the withdrawal limit, I think, is about 100 Bitcoin per 24 hours. 100 Bitcoin is well over 5-6 million.
A lot.
7 million Rand.
A lot of money.
So it shouldn't be an issue. And there aren't limitations on what you deposit. But please remember that exchange controls do affect individuals, and you are subject and you're responsible yourselves. Valor is not responsible for you, but you're responsible to remain within those exchange controls. So you can get allowances of up to 1 million rand is effectively the single discretionary allowance, and if you apply to SARS, you can get up to 10 million rand more if you have that type of money. So it shouldn't be really a big blocker for most people. So let me pause there. G, any comments you want to take?
Yeah, I've seen a few comments asking for listing of assets. I'm seeing Solana. I'm seeing requests for Shiba Inu and a couple of other assets. As we said earlier on, for anybody who wasn't here in the beginning, we're actively working on listing Sol specifically and other assets pretty soon. That's always on our roadmap. And then I'm also seeing people requesting transfers, both in and out, I assume, on other blockchains. So Polygon has come up a couple of times, as well as Sol. We see that. We're actively looking into building whether we can build wallet infrastructure for other networks. And so we hear you. We're looking into that. And then finally, I see a lot of comments about yield, about earning interest or staking on your assets. And a very interesting topic, and something that we're also very, very actively looking into.
Let me just provide some clarity there, guys. So a lot of you have been on Twitter and elsewhere saying, guys, why can't we stake on Valor? So Valor had plans to stake for a long time. It's on our roadmap. It was on our roadmap, and we actually started the process by talking to the regulators about staking and the different amount of coins you guys are listing. Okay, well, thank you very much, guys. Thanks, Elmar. But we talked to the regulators, and because of exchange control, again, there was concern that with staking, there might be a breach of exchange control regulations. As you know, in that FAQ that came out from the regulators, they said that decentralized exchanges, DEXs, are viewed to be offshore for the purposes of exchange control. Again, this is something that I've taken issue with the regulators, because how can a decentralized exchange, which is the internet, be classified as offshore? Like, I think we're losing the plot over here when we make statements like that, right? And so I really believe that we need to come to a regulatory understanding where we understand what the primitives are and what the requirements are from a regulatory perspective in South Africa, but that we allow innovation to flourish in this country. It's a beautiful country, and we have so much to do, but certain things like exchange control are not serving this country, just to put it plainly and simply, right? So the point is that we do not want to do things, despite my views, by the way, that I've just expressed, and I'm happy to express those publicly. As I mentioned earlier, we are still subject to the regulations of this country. And so what we do is, before we go and launch new products, we go to the regulators and we say, hey, everybody, this is what we want to do. Can we go forward with it? Are there any issues, right? Are there any objections? And so there were certain questions that were arisen when we talked about yield. We're trying to work through those. So please bear with us. We understand that our competitors and some of our competitors have yield products. But again, our standard is not our competitors. Our standard is running a platform that is compliant with the law. We do not want to be at the fringe. We do not ever want to be in a situation where regulators will come to us and say, hey, you're not doing X, Y, or Z properly, and therefore there are going to be either penalties or we need to shut you down or anything of that nature. We want to serve you guys very well. We want to do that in a way that can take crypto to the mainstream. And what's required of that is to be going shoulder to shoulder with the regulators, educating them, bringing them along with us, so that we can kind of go together and make sure that the regulators understand, and that we're also not doing anything that wouldn't be acceptable to the regulator. So I hope that answers a little bit on the staking. It's not a satisfactory answer. As a customer, I understand that. I wish that weren't the answer, but I just wanted to provide some of that view. We are looking at it, and we actually hope to have it relatively soon, to be able to offer staking on the platform in the multiple different ways. We've got a lot of ideas on that. So that's that. Baddy, can I take this off the screen now? Have you got this Valor Pay ID? Yeah, great. Thank you. Someone said basically about, will Valor ever go public? Is there a parent company we can invest in? So right now we are a private company. One of the reason I wanted to bring this up is I talked a little about capitalism earlier, and capitalism is a system that really tries, as I said, maximize profits, if you want to think about it like that, right? At Valor, we've been very explicit to say, actually, we take a little bit of a different view, right? We're working in a capitalistic system, but we believe that if we can provide the very best possible experience pricing to our customers, share the value with them, then the value will accrue to Valor as well, right? So all of our investors, when we talk to them, we say, listen, if you want to invest in us and you're hoping that we're going to charge a lot and we're going to, excuse my French, but screw the customer, don't invest in us. That's not what we do. We believe in margins that are low, but volume, so we can serve a lot of people. And if you get low margins with high volume, then you can also do well financially. And we have to do well financially because we need to pay salaries, we need to invest in security and all the rest of it. So the reason I bring that up, and let me see if I can take this banner off here. That's enough of that support.valor.com, is the fact that we want to share value with our customers, and we do that in a number of different ways. So we do that with our Maker Award. If you bring liquidity to the platform, we pay you. We're the only platform that does that in Africa and most of the world. There are a couple of platforms that does that as well. We also have a fantastic referral and rewards program, so that when you do refer someone, two people or more, for privacy reasons, it was 2 people or more, that once they start trading, 10% of what we earn, we give to the referrer, right? And that's ad infinitum. So there's no limits to those prizes. And we've given out, what's the latest number that we've given out in rewards and rebates to customers?
It's hitting on over like 50 million rand.
No, I think it was over 50 million rand a few months ago. I think we're heading towards 60 now. I think we're heading towards 60 now. So the idea is we want to share that value. We're not a public company. If we become public, then we would love everybody to invest, obviously, but that's not where we are right now. That's not where our attention is actually right now. Our attention is on building. There's a lot for us to build, as you guys can see from the comments. We have limited resources, obviously. We're trying to do as much as we can. What is the future for Valor Exchange? Only 3 assets are listed since Valor inception. Well, it's 3 assets that are listed, I think, on the exchange, which is the order book. But obviously, we have about 60 assets that are listed with what's called a simple buy feature, simple buy or sell. And the reason that we do that is very few people appreciate the importance of liquidity in any market, particularly crypto. And if we don't have liquidity, then what happens is that you can buy something and you think that the buy price is the last traded price, but there's not enough sell orders on the exchange. And then you buy and you start going what's called, you go through the order book, you blow through the order book, and you end up with a price that is not good. We don't like that. Yeah. And we actually have protections in place with our simple buy sell feature so that can be stopped. So I think it's important to know that liquidity is important. As we feel comfortable that we can get liquidity and work with our liquidity partners as well, then we can start listing more. And we are actually in discussions with certain liquidity providers so that we can start bringing more exchange pairs to the platform, not just the simple buy sells. So I hope that answers.
And that's super exciting.
Yeah, that's very.
Yeah, that's super exciting. The more people we have willing to put assets on the exchange to basically provide orders that for buying and for selling on both sides of the order book, the more markets we can list, the more deeply liquid those markets can be, the better price you can get for trading all of these assets on Valor. And so that's one of the most exciting things I think of actually that we're working on is improving on that and then bringing many more assets hopefully 100%. To the exchange.
Yeah. Is Valor South Africans only? No, oops, that's not I clicked on the right one, but Betty, there's another Valor Pay for you. Someone had sent the comments are moving too quickly for me. Someone asked, is Valor for South Africans only? No, we accept customers from all around the world, but the on-ramp via ZAR right now is kind of what makes it a mostly South African platform. But as I said, we're going to be having other on-ramps very soon, and that is going to be really opening up the rest of the world to Valor in a very big way, which we're very excited about. I was going to say something. Oh yeah, there was some talk on the comments about derivatives and things of that nature. Again, this is something that we have to talk to the regulators. They've said in their June 11th paper that derivatives right now is not something that they really want to consider. I think it's important for the regulators to know, and we've expressed this to them, that in the crypto space, as with the non-crypto space, the derivatives markets are way, way, way bigger than the spot markets. Spot means, you're buying the underlying thing. That's what a spot market is. And a derivative market,
you're actually buying Bitcoin.
Yeah. And a derivatives market is something like you're buying a futures contract on Bitcoin, right? Or anything else. And there's lots of derivatives or options of derivatives. And I think these are, they got a very bad name in the financial crisis, but there was a lot that was wrong in the financial crisis, right? And so derivatives in themselves can be very, very helpful, right, if they're used responsibly. And so we're also trying to talk to the regulators to say, listen, we welcome a lot of what you brought into that June 11th paper. This point about derivatives and not allowing them in South Africa, all it serves to do is to handicap us, right? And I think that's really important. Again, just to, in case there are any regulators listening, I think it's important to say this, which is like things like exchange control. When I ask people why it exists, people say, and the one argument that I've heard about exchange control, the main argument is that if we didn't have exchange control, then South Africa would have been much harder hit in the financial crisis. Okay. And they said we were insulated because we had exchange control, which is not fully true, but there's there's an element of truth to that. But my response to that often is, if we banned cars in South Africa, I promise you our accident rate would be zero. There would be no car accidents, and we would save lives by banning cars in South Africa, right? But the point is that if you have a new technology or you have something that assists people, there are always risks in life, right? So you have to quantify those risks, try to minimize them. But just saying no to an entire asset class or an entire kind of product suite, I think is not in the best interest of South Africa, her peoples, or the world. Right, so they have to be used with responsibility. There's no doubt. So we're working with the regulators on things like that, and also, as I said, we're working on making Valor an offshore player as well, so that we can also, if we would love to offer these things in South Africa. If we cannot offer them in South Africa, we will be forced to go offshore and offer them from an offshore location. Obviously, still complying with the laws, but in a way that allows us to do things. So yeah, let me pause there, and G, over to you if there's anything else. It is, by the way, it's already 1:08. I didn't realize we're already over time. So maybe let's just wrap it up. G, any last questions for me? What is your vision on getting, this is an important one. What is your vision on getting more women into crypto? Beautiful question. Beautiful question. And right now, crypto is definitely male dominated, but you'd be surprised at how many women are in crypto and how many, really leading, some of the leading voices in crypto are women, and there are many on Twitter that are there. So, I mean, you're coming to a very core, I'm a Baha'i, and a core element of my philosophy and belief is the equality of men and women. And so this is really, hits hard for me, hits home. And we also have challenges with this at Valor, by the way, right? If you look at our technical team is predominantly male, right? Now, unfortunately, when we get applications, that is what the application pool looks like as well, right? So we have some people in our technical team that are women, which is fantastic, but we need to do much more, not just as Valor, not just as crypto, but as society. We need to really, really bring women into the fore. And what I will say is a very beautiful, for the men that are listening that may be questioning any of this, the way I view women and men, and this is totally off crypto, but it's like a bird with wings, right? The left wing or the right wing, each wing is a gender, right? And humanity is that bird. And to the extent that those wings do not have enough strength or are not empowered one as the other, that bird cannot fly to the apex of its capacity. So the equality of men and women is imperative, not just for women, but for men as well, for our children, for future generations. So I hope everybody that's listening will do everything that they can to promote the equality of men and women, not just in crypto, but in the world. I think that's probably a nice place to leave things off, actually, G.
Yeah,
Could you-
absolutely. One point from me is firstly a thank you to everybody that's joined us and listened in for over an hour, and then secondly that we've got a number of roles that we're hiring for. If you haven't seen careers.valor.com and you're either a technical person or there's a number of operational roles that we're also hiring for, please go to careers.valor.com. Have a look. Come work with us. Come help us change the world.
Okay, careers.valor.com,
Yeah.
right there. All right.
That's it.
So, Dev, let's bring you
Great.
in. Just say thank you very much. Thanks, Dev. Sash, we're going to bring you in. I know you didn't want to be shown here, but here you are. And Baddy, thanks very much, everybody. On behalf of Valor, a very, very, very big thank you to all of you for your kindness, for your support, for your love. Please know that we're trying everything we can to support you, to serve you, and to build a product that meets your needs. We know we fall short. We know that, and we'll never be able to fully meet all of your expectations. Please know that we really try and we work hard for you. Thank you so much for your love and support. Have a lovely day, and to the next time we have a Valor Vision. Adios. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye, everybody.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.